Special Report.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mike Tank.
And I'm Dana Winkleplack. We do want to bring you the very latest on that devastation in the Wabash Valley from last night's severe weather.
We go now to Sullivan
again.
and Governor Eric Holcomb.
We would like to really make this more of a Q&A, kind of an informal conversation, because that's the way that the relationship with the city of Sullivan and all of Hoosier communities have been with Governor Holcomb. Very humble, excellent leader. We really appreciate the governor being here today to kind of do some Q&A. The reason why the governor's here, we've been in contact with his office immediately with Tyler. Thank you, Tyler, wherever he's over here. So right away, I bragged on all the elected officials earlier, but I can't say enough what great of a job that they have done. So Governor, we really appreciate you coming down here today. And after we have some Q&A and have some questions, you are all more than welcome to join us on location, because the governor definitely made it well known to us that he wanted to be boots on the ground, literally, and see exactly the devastation and what's happened here in this great community. So, Governor, thank you for coming today.
Mayor, I hate that it's for this occasion that we're together once again, but I have full confidence that even after the dark storm, there will be light again, and there will be a renaissance, and we will restore and we will rebuild better than ever.
Absolutely.
And we're just seeing so many people. The hard thing now is managing all that assistance that wants to rush to the scene. And my wife and I, first and foremost, want to pass on our condolences to the 3 Hoosier souls that we lost due to this natural disaster. And it was just that. Damage, destruction, disaster. But again, we will rebuild. And it's been a long night for a lot of people and a long day. And there's immediate 24-hour needs, and there'll be next week needs, and there'll be for the foreseeable future as we rebuild this community. Earlier today, I did officially sign the declaration for a state of emergency in 2 counties, Sullivan and Johnson counties. We had a lot of trees snapped in 2, power lines obviously down, homes and businesses, roofs ripped off, countless spots of destruction all over the state. We were tracking about 18 counties that had lost power at one point, but Sullivan and Johnson counties were hammered the hardest. And in addition to those lives lost, it's going to really call for us to do what we do better than anyone that I can think of, and that is come together as a team. I have been in communication with the administrator for FEMA, Deanne Criswell, and Administrator Criswell has assured us that in addition to all the local support that will be needed, all the state resources that will be provided, that FEMA, who has already been on the ground and will continue to be assessing and inventorying, that those resources, as appropriate, will be made available as well. Talked to her back and forth a couple times this morning, and then pulled off the side of the road on the way down here in the parking lot of Boot City so I could have a little quiet, no road noise as we were going over what those 24-hour, the water needs, the food needs, the shelter needs, where the Salvation Army, where Red Cross, where the church is, your operation, your emergency operations center here locally, how we're interfacing with Mary and with Steve Jones here with the state fire marshal, and Joel Thacker, who's been in constant communication. He's our director of Homeland Security. So this is a all hands on deck effort, and will continue to be. It won't just be we're dropping, parachuting in one day and gone the next. This will be a memory that is seared into our minds forever, especially those people who were directly affected. But this is going to last for a long time, and equally so the rebuild. With that, happy to answer any questions, or anyone here will do the same.
So, Governor, we've got 2 different disaster areas in 2 geographically separate counties.
Talk about the coordination that's taking place right now in terms of, all right, which units are we moving where? And then also moving into some of the lesser affected areas, like at one point you said you affected 18 counties.
Well, to organize it, and Mary, you might want to speak to this, but to organize it, it goes through our Emergency Operations Center, which is up 24 hours a day, has been since yesterday. There's 3 general phases. There's preparing for the storm, there's enduring it, and then there's the recovery phase. And that's exactly what we're doing all over the state of Indiana, is working with the locals, depending on what the damage is, inventorying that, making sure that that 211 line is open for people to call in and not just express what happened, but also share the details so that we can follow up accordingly. Working with the local utilities. This is, again, a federal, state, local, and local meaning down to the organizations that are assisting with the help where it's needed. You want to add anything to that?
No, that's
coordination?
a very good answer. Well, again, we are working with the local officials every day. We are collecting all of the damage information. That's the process that we're in right now. And then that will help us inform the governor's office of where resources need to be strategically located.
Declaring those 2 counties as sites of natural disaster helps us expedite potential funding from the federal government. So Deanne Criswell knows that as of about 1 o'clock today, and FEMA has personnel here as well right now.
We're still in the middle of the budget session. Do you potentially see lawmakers stepping in and adding some additional line items to deal with this, or do our existing emergency funds take?
We have existing funds that can, I believe, now give us time, we're still a matter of hours, but fortunately our state budget and coffers will be able to accommodate, I'll say that. But I think we've got what we need here from a state perspective and from the federal funds that we'll qualify for. Yes, sir.
Yeah, my name is Ted Funk. I'm with the National Weather Service in Minneapolis. So
yes,
if anyone has any
that's fantastic. Yeah, we were all watching you for glued to you. Yeah.
It's probably for Ted.
Yeah.
You mind stepping in the podium? Introduce yourself.
Thanks for being here. Thank you.
Appreciate you coming. Thank you.
Yeah, hi, my name is Ted Funk. I'm the meteorologist in charge at the National Weather Service in Indianapolis.
Ted, what time did the storm hit? How long did it go through? And do you know exactly the strength of this storm yet?
Yeah, myself and 2 of my colleagues, Jason Puma and Matt Eckhoff, who's here, there he is over here. We've been out, and Shane from the Terre Haute Fire Department has been gracious enough to show us around. So we've been looking at the damage across the region for several hours now. We first issued a tornado warning for Sullivan County at 10:08 p.m. last night. The storm at that time was still in Illinois. That provided roughly 22 minutes that we figure of lead time before that storm came across the river here into Sullivan County and the town of Sullivan. Once we saw the storm and how potent it was, we upgraded that tornado warning to what we call a higher end version. It's called a considerable tornado, and that also had lead time before it hit here. So we've been out for the last few hours and trying to assess the damage. The way we rate wind speeds with a tornadoes, we used what's called the enhanced Fujita scale. And what that does, you look at the degree of damage to different structures, and from that you estimate what the winds actually were. We don't measure the winds directly. So far, this is still preliminary information. We still have to go back and look at the points that we took along the damage path when we get back to our office. But at the moment, there's a lot of EF2 damage. EF2 is winds from 111 to 135 miles per hour. However, there's also locations, there's also particular areas where it looks like it's EF3 damage. EF3 damage is from 136 to 165. Now, we haven't figured out exactly the range in there, but there's some locations here where winds were likely over 135 up to about 165, and that can do extreme damage as we see. So we're still assessing that. We developed, the storm likely was on the ground before it crossed the river, continued across through here, and then we took some back roads into the woods and tried to find an area where it looks like the storm lifted. So by the time it crossed the river to where we think it lifted, that was probably on a line roughly 8 to 10 miles, but we'll have to plot that out and see the exact numbers once we get back. In terms of a path width, we were just, again, this is preliminary. We have to measure it out a little bit better, but we think maybe the path width might have been roughly 1/8 to 1/4 of a mile. Laterally, and then path length of about 8 to 10 miles, but that doesn't include what it likely was on the ground across the river in Illinois. And we will coordinate with our neighboring office, the Lincoln, Illinois office, and they have a crew out looking at the same storm in their area. So we'll coordinate with them to see eventually what the total length of time this tornado was on the ground. There's absolutely no doubt, obviously, it was a tornado.
Say your name and title again.
My name is Ted Funk, F-U-N-K, meteorologist in charge, National Weather Service in Indianapolis.
And the time frame maybe for how long it went through Sullivan County?
The storm was moving, I think, like 40, 50 miles an hour. So, again, the initial tornado warning was issued at 10:08 p.m. I don't have the radar in front of me to determine exactly when that storm moved out. It did, the storm that produced the tornado, not necessarily the tornado, because the tornado wasn't on the ground this whole way, but it clipped across, eventually went into Owen County. But I don't have the exact time it actually exited in Sullivan County. But the tornado itself was very quick to move through. Very quick. It's our deepest condolences and our hearts break for the family of the loved, the ones who were lost in this terrible tornado. We're so glad that so many people did survive, and it's very heartbreaking when we see this. What we try to do is to provide information and get warnings out in advance, and then people have an action plan that they know what to do and can take cover. And I guess if there's a silver lining, it's that, despite the tragedy, the terrible tragedy, that there wasn't more lives lost or people hurt, despite their livelihoods with their houses gone. It's a terrible thing, obviously. And we just come out here to try to figure out what exactly happened as best as we can.
Do you have any preliminary information from Johnson County as well?
We do have crews out there. I do not have exactly what happened there yet. We've had 3 survey crews out in different counties, including Johnson, across central Indiana. It's likely we will be out again tomorrow because there's just too much damage across central Indiana to really do it all in one day. And you got to do it right. You can't just come in and out. You've got to really look at everything. And when just FYI, when we do look at structures and how much damage, some things can look like, it's terrible and really bad, which it is, but we also have to look at the construction of different types of houses and things of that nature, because some homes we saw were, completely destroyed, but then there's other structures nearby that weren't nearly as bad, and it's a factor of how well different things are constructed and whether they're bolted down or not, because a particular wind will do much more damage to a structure that's not secured versus one that is secured. So we have to look at the big picture when we're looking at all the damage that we've seen today and in any storm survey.
Do we know how much warning time people had from the time that the warning was issued by the National Weather Service to the time that the tornado actually started to impact the area?
Yeah, when we looked at that, like I said, the first tornado warning, the cell was in Illinois at the time. It was 10:08 p.m. But before that, we issued what we call a special weather statement. It's not a warning, but it's a statement that we put out 33 minutes. And by the way, let me get back. I'm sorry, I should answer that. 10:08, which gave about 22 minutes of lead time, we estimated, by the time the storm came across the river here into Sullivan County. Before that, we put out a special statement talking about a dangerous storm that would likely cross the river into Sullivan County. That was put out roughly, as we figured, 33 minutes ahead of time when it did it. So that initial tornado warning, we figured, had roughly 22 minutes of lead time. And then again, I had said we had upgraded to this, what's called a considerable tag, which is a higher end tornado warning associated with likely higher end damage. And that went out at 10:17 p.m. And that we figured gave about 12, 13 minutes of lead time before, again, it came through with the Sullivan area here.
How common is a tornado of this intensity at this time of year? I know we're kind of getting into peak tornadoes.
Yeah, the traditional peak tornado season across the Ohio Valley in central Indiana is April, May, and June, but just know that severe weather and tornadoes can occur any time of the year. Just look in December 2021 down in Kentucky and Mayfield and Bowling Green and those areas. Those were devastating tornadoes, and that was in December. So while there's a more common time for severe weather and tornadoes, that being the spring, they can occur any time of year. Now, when you get into the summertime, when it gets very hot out, you get thunderstorms, but usually don't get the type of wind energy we need in the atmosphere to create these tornadoes. They can, but they're not quite as common. But we are entering into prime severe weather season. We have actually been fairly lucky across the area here over the last several years. While we've had tornadoes, we haven't had anything this devastating for quite a while. I asked some of my staff back at the Indy office, when's the last time we had a magnitude tornado like this, or at least people who lost their lives in a tornado? And so far what we can determine is 2012, which was the Henryville tornado in southern Indiana. And at that time, I actually worked at the Louisville, Kentucky office, and we served that location. So I actually did a survey in those locations as well at that time. So, but it doesn't matter how infrequent they are. The fact is, one time is all it takes. So we always stress that we want people to understand the weather, pay attention to weather, have a way to get the warnings, have an action plan of what to do once the warnings are issued. And because we can issue the warnings, but it's everybody's decision. They have to have a plan. They need to know what to do, where to go to keep themselves and their loved ones safe.
Mayor Lamb, you have the governor right here. What state resources, what state support do you need the most right now on the ground in Sullivan?
Sure, we talked about that earlier before we came out here. We're going to continue that discussion today. Obviously, our number one priority is definitely the people that are directly affected, right? We want to make sure that those people are taken care of. We want to make sure those people have the vouchers they need through the IHCDA. We need to make sure that those people have the transportation, because a lot of the vehicles could have been damaged. So we can get them maybe to a hotel for 30 days, but do we have the transportation? So just understanding those resources, and I can say that the governor has brought everything. He's wide open. He's here to do absolutely anything possible. So then, of course, we're going to eventually have this long-term conversation with the governor. I know he's committed to Hoosier communities, and we definitely know that he'll continue to be a partner like his administration has been here in the city of Sullivan. And like he alluded to earlier, there's going to be a silver lining in this. Yeah. And the south side of the city of Sullivan is going to be absolutely amazing. And you're all going to come back here in a couple of years to see exactly what happened as this remarkable community continues to develop because of partnerships with the state government.
Governor, do you anticipate needing to call out any of the Guard to assist with some of the...
Well, if needed, but you know, I got the superintendent of Indiana State Police over my right shoulder here, and his personnel will be fanned out across the state of Indiana in their districts, in regions, the DNR, NDOT. Every agency that is affected or can have a positive impact on the recovery phase will be involved from last night through to the very end until we see the new south side of Sullivan shining again.
All good?
Yeah, let me.
Yeah, real quick, the superintendent, if you could talk to us about the kind of the long-term.
Yeah, following up with what the governor just said, we will maintain a presence here in Sullivan, an increased presence. We always have a presence here in this county, but an increased presence over the coming weeks and months, whatever that might be. So we'll continue to evaluate that each day. I would like to say, though, remember, this sometimes creates an opportunity for people that want to do nefarious things. Don't. We will have a very strong set of eyes out there, and again, a very strong presence. The Terre Haute PD's been down. There's been so many other agencies that have come into this community, and I think it would be a disservice to you if I didn't at least mention that sometimes this creates a crime of opportunity, and we will do all we can do to prevent that. Additionally, there have been a lot of people whose lives have been forever changed over the course of the last 18 hours. Please show deference to them in that particular area. As you want to come and see this, hope you don't want to come to do anything other than help. But if you do want to help, please reach out to the city first. The mayor has done an extraordinary job in a short period of time to establish that process by which people can come and help. We need resources. We're just going to say we need money. We're going to need additional people and products and equipment over a long period of time. So please take that opportunity. If you don't have a reason to be in that area, please stay away. It's still extremely dangerous. The power company is here, but there's still an enormous amount of work yet to do. And again, we'll continue to keep you updated and stay as engaged as we can.
Explain the curfew for tonight.
Yeah, so that curfew starts at 7 p.m. this evening, and that is not a citywide curfew. That is just the affected areas, so people around the community don't have to worry about that. That will start at 7 p.m. this evening until 7 a.m. Tomorrow morning. We worked with EMA, Sheriff Bobbitt, and we just thought it was a good idea. We quite frankly don't need people messing around and looking for things that don't need to be there, for sure.
Are there any people unaccounted for?
It is my understanding right now that we are still in a search and rescue mode. We're mostly in a rescue mode, but we're continuing to move forward. So I cannot confirm or deny because you don't know. Like we said earlier, we have 200 households that have been affected, but how many live in those households? So we feel, cross your fingers, we feel pretty confident that we've pretty much accounted for everybody and got to everybody, but I don't want to say that and then come to find out that somebody's still out there needing help. Which reminds me, if you do have a loved one, once again, that is missing or that you need some information on, you can come here to City Hall, 110 North Main Street. We will get your name, information. We will continue to reunite those folks.
Do you have any families you're helping right now as far as in shelters or like people that have to use city services at this point?
Well, last night the original shelter was out at Abundant Grace, right, out on Highway 41, because if you all know that the entire city's power was out. So we kept them out at Highway 41. A lot of those folks are going to be moving here to the Sullivan Civic Center, which is right behind you, to try to coordinate these efforts with emergency management to the south of us on Main Street, the corner of Main and Harris, City Hall right here on Main Street, and then the Sullivan Civic Center as well is going to be used. So yeah, we don't know, because some folks we're helping assist, or the Red Cross or the Salvation Army is helping assist, but there's also a lot of families that are helping assist too. So how long those families can continue to aid their loved ones, we don't know, right? And that's where the IHCDA, we're trying to streamline a system to make sure that they get shelter for the next 30 days. So.
Question for Superintendent Carter. You alluded to this just now, that anytime we see a disaster like this, a lot of times it's when charity scams start popping up. So what should our viewers watch out for before they say, okay, I want to come in and help, I want to send someone?
That's so, the foundation that, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to make sure that if you're going to contribute, a big thank you to the Wabash Valley Community Foundation, which is the Sullivan County Community Foundation. They are an outstanding organization, philanthropical, that always steps up and helps out no matter what. They help out in the good times, and they're ready to step up again now. So you can make your tax-deductible contribution. You can, because there are a lot of people that want to help. They want to provide their talents, they want to provide water, they want to provide food, they want to provide shelter, but some folks just quite frankly want to contribute financially. We have had a few people stop by City Hall today here and drop off some checks. Those checks will be deposited into the Community Foundation Fund. If you go to the City of Sullivan, Indiana social media sites, that link will be there. So you can go right there. You can contribute $5, $10. We had somebody step up a while ago and give $5,000, so we really appreciate that. And it will go into that specific fund, so we will make sure, we can assure you that it will be used for the tornado disaster relief.
Mayor, and please, everybody remember, do not give your credit card information over the phone. Do not give any credit card information over the phone. That's really important, because that's a great question. That is probably very likely to happen here in the coming weeks.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Real quick, the EOC and the ICS, they feel everybody's accounted for, and cleanup operations will start tomorrow.
All right, let's kind of recap some of the things that we heard that were very important, including the fact that the National Weather Service says this was indeed a tornado, and not just a tornado, a pretty powerful one.
Yeah, they're trying to determine, they have a process they go through when they're on the ground looking at damage and how it happened and everything, and what they determined is that it is at least preliminary, an EF2, which is wind speeds of 111 to 135 miles per hour. Some areas, they believe, were EF3, 136 to 165. Just some other information you see there, an 8 to 10 mile track, I believe, from southwest to northeast through Sullivan County, 1/8 to a 1/4 mile wide. And Dana, you remember this, probably 2012, Henryville tornado. This is the last time the folks there at the Ted Funk with the National Weather Service was saying they were talking in their office about the last time they remember lives being lost from a tornado, and it was them.
Yeah, so that's how he's comparing it. This tornado was as bad as that one, and happened back in 2012. We should also say that he said that the tornado was likely on the ground from Crawford County, crossed the Wabash River, and then went into Sullivan. So on the ground a long time.
Long time, and they are coordinating with the folks, the National Weather Service in Lincoln, Illinois, who are doing the same assessments there. But that's all the kind of the nuts and bolts and the scientific stuff, but we can't forget about the lives that are lost and also the damage that has happened. And Governor Eric Holcomb, to that point, said there will be a renaissance, and we will rebuild and we will restore, which is a sign of confidence.
Yes, and he also was saying that this is not a quick process.
No.
You know, things need to be done right now. They need to be done in a week, in a month, and then long term as well. And he seems very committed to making sure that that happens. FEMA already there, you know. Once he declares it as a national, as a disaster area, then you can apply for those FEMA funds, very important
Right,
as well.
and he did say declaration of emergency in Sullivan and Johnson County, Johnson near Indianapolis.
Right, just south, kind of in the Greenwood areas.
Yeah, he said both counties were hammered. And he also said it's a memory that is seared into our minds forever, ever, and I'm sure anybody who was impacted, either directly or remotely, will attest to that.
Yeah, it is a mess. I was there in that area of town today, and almost unbelievable, really.
Well, thank you for joining us for this special report from Governor Eric Holcomb and others in the city of Sullivan. We will have much more online and on air tonight at 6 p.m.